Is Joel Embiid the MVP leader? Is Tyrese Maxey an all-star starter? And we'll also talk about tonight's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So what's good, Mitch? How you been, bro?
Man, I can't complain, Keith, man. Holiday season is here. And, got a good game on the docket tonight for the 76ers, a real test. So I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. For y'all who don't know, this is my man, John Mitchell. I'm Keith Pompey. We're the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. We got a lot to talk about. But before we get started, I just want to give my condolences to the Channel 6 family and their loved ones for the loss of the Chopper 6 crew last night in Washington Township in the plane crash. You know, Mitch, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, we don't know who it is yet, but I'm assuming it's some people that we know.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where you don't want anything like this to happen at all, ever.
Right.
But, when it's so close to a holiday, it's really heartbreaking. And there's also, I hate to say this, Mitch, it's one of those things where, you don't want to go to shoot around. You don't want to go to the game today because, you want to go, but you don't want to go because you're looking around and see who you don't see.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's not there. So, for heavy hearts, and we would want to give our condolences for that.
Amen.
So, Mitch, Joel Embiid has been on fire. We done talked about his stats forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where early season, that right now you look at him, he was the reigning MVP. You have him as a candidate. I have my top five. I'm gonna give my top five, and I'll give you you could give yours for the MVP early. Now it was early in the season.
Yeah.
I have Joel Embiid at number 1. I have Nikola Jokic at number 2. I have Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 3. I have Luka Doncic at number 4. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at number 5. Now, Mitch, I don't know this. I just thought about this. None of these guys are Americans. None of them.
Yeah.
The whole international squad. But but that's
the most important thing, man. Not to cut you off, Keith, but man, the international influence is so strong in the NBA now.
It went a long way from the dream team when they were just killing everybody. Now they got the best players. But those are my 5 guys right now for MVP. Do you have you got your 5?
Yeah, let me see. I think if correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had Joel number 1, the Joker number 2, Giannis number 3, Luka number 4, and SGA number 5.
Yeah.
Man, that's I would probably I'm with you too, man, on Joel. I think he's the best player on the planet right now, in a few days before Christmas. I would say Joel, the Joker, Giannis, Luka, and SGA. Does that mirror yours?
Exactly. Yeah. Because
that mirrors what you said. So, yeah, I think those are the best players out there right now. Tatum is on the outskirts of that. Dame, my man Halliburton. So, but if yeah, I would say those are the top 5, man. I'm surprised. Great minds, I guess. Great minds think alike, man. SGA is just he hasn't come out of nowhere, but that team is playing really well. But I think they all get in line behind Joel.
Yeah, I mean, you look at SGA, right? So you're talking about that team is playing really well. You know, it's one of those things where you look at it, they have the second best record. They have the second best record in the Western Conference behind, and it's crazy. Like, Minnesota, Minnesota has the best record in the West, and we didn't mention those guys, but that just tells you how good SGA has been. Like, when you look at it right now, we talk about the scoring leaders. You have, Joel, of course, beasting everybody at 34.4 points. Then you have Luka Doncic at number 2 at 32.9, right? Kevin Durant, number 3 at 31. And then you have Shai Gilgeous at 30.7, right? So, I think the MVP doesn't, you don't base the MVP off, in my opinion, off who leads the league in scoring, right? But when you look at how he's leading, how he's getting these buckets, and how it's helping a young OKC team, who, let's face it, 2 years ago were tanking, and they got their young core, and I believe they're 17-8 right now. So, they're playing well. So that's why I have him. Luka is doing his thing, man. Like, he's doing what he has to do. And, Embiid, I just look at Embiid, and, you look at the Sixers. They're 0-3 with 3 bad losses without him.
Yeah.
3 bad losses without. Well, I take that back. The one loss wasn't too bad. The Boston Celtics loss wasn't too bad when everybody stepped up. Now, they choked. They should have won, but they choked. But when you look at Joel Embiid and you see how people say, well, can he pass the ball? Can he do this? Well, he's averaging a career best 6 assists a game, right? So
that's the most stunning thing to me, that he's up the assists.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most.
And not only that, like, we always knew he could block shots and stuff like that, but it was always, did he want to do it? Did he want to extend his energy on both ends of the floor? And he has been doing that. So, I feel like he's the best. But Mitch, I got to ask you this, man. I don't want to bury the lead. Like, what's your thought about the best 5 players in the world being international cats?
It's been creeping up on us, man. Giannis started. A few years ago when he won that championship, people were like, that guy right there is the best player on the planet. You think of all. You think of basketball coming from Philadelphia. On this East Coast corridor, you got Philly, you got New York. You think of the Washington, Baltimore area. You think of the West Coast and LA and Chicago in the middle of the country. Some of the great players that come out of there. And when you realize that, like you mentioned the Dream Team and how they were just stormtrooping the world. But that time is the NBA still puts out the most when it comes to quantity. America puts out the quantity, from a quantity standpoint, we put out the best players. But man, at the elite level right now, it is run by players from African players, Canadian players, European players. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That's what I really like about the NBA. I like the fact. It kind of goes back to that beef they had, with the track athlete, with the 100-meter sprinter, the Olympic champion, who was saying, y'all are world champions. But if you look at the NBA now, it's as global a league as we have in North America, and in no other North American sports is there is the elite play from, well, I guess you could say hockey, But the elite players coming from all four corners of the earth. So I like it. I mean, we grew up and having these arguments about, where the best players come from: Chicago, Detroit, Philly, New York City. And right now they don't come from any of those places.
Europe. Europe and Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's crazy. It's crazy. And Canada, you got to give Canada some stuff, man, because the Canadians are starting to show up now. They're
Big
really
time.
starting to show up.
Big time.
Big time. Big time. But look, y'all, like when we get back after this thing, I want to talk about eBay Motors for a second. But when we get back, we got to ask the question. Tyrese Maxey has been balling, having a career year, but is he an all-star starter? Is he? So we'll talk about that when we get right back. But right now, I want to talk to y'all about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors has teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd, another international, to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, each week you're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Pick of the Week. I'm going to go way off. And some of y'all may not disagree, but I'm telling you, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. I'm going with James Wiseman of, the Detroit Pistons. And here's the reason why. There's a lot of injuries going on right there, and they need to give him, and Wiseman is going to come in, and he's going to play a little bit better. And Mitch said, wow. But the reason why Isaiah Stewart is hurt, Jalen Duren is hurt, and Wiseman has produced in the last 2 games. Confidence in him is low, but the numbers and opportunities appear to be there. So I'm telling you, don't sleep. Go after Wiseman. Just like those people was telling you, go after the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And the Eagles fans is like, nah, bro. I'm telling you, go after Wiseman. Now, here's the thing. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same for your vehicle. With over 122 million parts on your number one ride or die, we can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors have it. And with eBay Guarantee Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride for the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, look at these prices. You're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride and die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Motors Guarantee Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So, Mitch, I got to put you on the spot, bruh. Is Tyrese Maxey an all-star starter?
We kind of talked about this offline, and I think you got to go with Halliburton in one of the guards. You know what? I'm gonna walk out on the line and say yes. I'm gonna take him over some of these more, the guys who have a reputation, guys who've actually gone to the game in the Eastern Conference, guys like Trey Young, and I'm saying he's a starter, and I give him that because I think he's the most improved player in the league. I think we won't get any arguments there, but I think that you have to. The team is also winning at a high clip. In the Eastern Conference, they got the third best record in the league. Behind, in the conference, top behind Boston and behind Milwaukee. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and put him in the starting lineup. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, and that's not a knock. That's not a knock to him. I think that he deserve to be considered for it? Will he get votes for it?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he will. He will. But I think that right now, when we look at the 76ers and you say it, they do have the third best record in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
It's also a kind of like a popularity contest when it
Right.
comes down to it.
Right.
So I feel like we love Tyrese Maxey in Philadelphia. Tyrese Maxey is probably the most ascending player.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that Tyrese Halliburton and stuff, even though that they're struggling a little bit now, but the fact that he's getting buckets and he's leading the league in assists, that he's probably going to get more votes. Why? Because let's face it, this in-season tournament thing,
Yeah.
a lot of people got into it.
Yeah.
And all they remember is him is like busting people's tail in the in-season tournament and getting these statistics.
Right.
So I think that he'll probably get more votes. But then also you have a guy like Dame Lillard. When you look at Dame Lillard's statistics and Tyrese Maxey's, his stats. Now, Tyrese did have that 50-point game.
Yeah.
Dame just came off of a 40-point game. But when you look at Dame Lillard's statistics, his stats are a smidget better than Maxey's, right? They're
Right.
better, slightly better. So I feel like it's going to come down between Tyrese Halliburton and Dame Lillard, right? Now, Dame is going to come down between those two as a point guard. I think the other guard is going to be Donovan Mitchell. I do. Like, Donovan Mitchell is averaging 27 points in like a game. Like, he is balling.
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Now, but I think the starters are going to come down between those three guys. Like, is outside of that, I think Maxey makes the team.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I honestly do. I think he makes the team. But I feel like that, he's better than Trae Young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's better than Jaylen Brown. I'm not better than him, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But for what he's doing, he's having a better season. I do think that he makes it. Now, the only how I don't see he makes it is if when it comes down to it, like, okay, you guys are right now or in third. You may be in fourth. Who knows? Third or fourth. Right. But then what happens is they'll look at it like, if we're going to give two spots to someone, we're going to give it to the Boston Celtics, of course. We're going to give it to the Milwaukee Bucks, right? So they may get two guys, but I do believe he deserves to be an all-star. I just think that when it comes down from a national popularity, that Tyrese Halliburton is one of the top guys, and Dame Lillard is a perennial all-star.
Yeah, that's what he's got going against him. I mean, Halliburton had that stretch where he was just, 25, 30, and 15, just the big assist numbers. But I think that he might edge. And now don't get me wrong. Like, it's a weird. It is like much of a popularity contest, and who people are they going to buy into the hype that Tyrese Maxey is ascending, and he's the new guy. I think that's going to play a role. There are people are always looking for new faces. If I had to choose between Donovan Mitchell and Tyrese Maxey on my team, I think I'm going with Donovan Mitchell. But I think in this situation, the larger market, I think that might play a role. I think people might just say, hey, look, the Sixers, because it helps him, the drama, all that postseason, preseason drama of the Sixers. Are they going to collapse? Is Joel Embiid going to be looking for a new home? And the emergence of Tyrese has somewhat calmed that down. You know what I mean? So I think we might get surprised and get Tyrese Maxey in that starting lineup, man.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I'm looking at right now. So you look at Tyrese Halliburton in 22 games. He's averaging 24.9 points. He's averaging 11.9 assists. He's shooting 42.9 from the 3-point line,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So let's look at Tyrese Maxey. In 25 games, Tyrese Maxey is averaging 25.8 points. He's averaging 6.7 assists, and he's
Mm-hmm.
shooting 39.9% from three, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it, I mean, again, Tyrese Halliburton is having a better season, right? He's having a better season. Now, let's go to Dame Lillard. So you look at Dame Lillard. This is what Dame is averaging. So Dame is averaging 26.3 points in 25 games, and he's averaging 7 assists, and he's averaging 37.4. No, excuse me. He's shooting 37.4%. So when you look at it, the only thing that Maxey is doing better than him right now is shooting from the three. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now,
Right.
again, it's a popularity contest, so you never know. But that's what I'm factoring off of. Like, Dame is, for the second time of his career, he's deferring. He has to defer to Giannis. So,
Right.
they're both secondary options, great numbers, but his numbers are a little bit better. Now Maxey is shooting better from the three, but outside of that, his numbers are a little bit better. So that's the only reason why I'm saying, that's the only reason I'm going the way I'm going. But
You think they go with the top 70, the guy who's top 75 all time?
it could be, man. You know what I mean? You never know, right? You never
Yeah,
know. It could be. Like, you
it,
never
it,
know.
and it's nice for the 76ers and for Tyrese, to be in that conversation with a guy who's top 75.
But you know what? Again, that's the fans. So what happens is, like, the fans might do it differently. But I
Right.
think when it comes down to players may go with the top 75 guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the players vote. Now, again, it's not like it's I don't know. I think the players may go with that, but then regardless, I think that the coaches who game plan know, like, hey, maybe we have to have this guy on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to talk about Maxey.
Right.
But when we get back, I want to talk about game time. But after we get back, we got to preview tonight's game. Joel Embiid goes up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, the matchup that we did not see right before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sixers had a bad showing without Joel. So we'll see if what Joel can do if he plays, and see, I think this is a barometer game for the 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that. But I want to talk about game time. Now, thing about game time, y'all, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets for your next big events. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of it. Last-minute tickets, fast deals, zone deals, all that. So Game Time has a deal on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. It's the best place to find last-minute seats, right? Now, how do you go do this? This is what you want to know, right? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, creating an account, excuse me. I'm going and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute ticket prices, low prices, guaranteed. I'm telling you, do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, what else I want y'all to do today is go to Locked On, right? Because Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Now, Mitch, Minnesota comes to town tonight, bro.
Yeah.
Best team in the West. What's your expectations?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm disappointed Nick Batum won't be there with his hamstring problem. But this is definitely a payback game for the 76ers. Coming off of that, they lost that. I think that was the second game of a back-to-back when they went to Minnesota without Joel and lost 112-99. I think this is, we hunt around and sometimes we turn games into statement games that really might not necessarily be a statement game. But I think this is a chance for the 76ers. I mean, it's really a chance for all this MVP talk about Joel. This is a game where you really want to, this is not one of those, as I refer to them, as those nighttime practices in front of about 20,000 people against, say, Washington or Detroit. This is a game against, we're talking about guys who were MVPs. We kind of left Anthony Edwards out of that conversation, but he'll be in that conversation toward the end of the year. So I think this is definitely a barometer game. You're coming off of a lackluster performance against Chicago, and folks are going to want to see the 76ers come out and have a strong showing tonight against a team that slapped them around, albeit they were shorthanded. They were very shorthanded without their very best player. But yeah, this is a payback game for the 76ers.
Yeah, and then also, we're talking about Minnesota having the best record in the West. They actually got the best record in the whole league,
right?
With Boston's losing right now, and it's percentage points. Right now they're 20-5. The Boston Celtics are 20-6, right? The thing is, though, Minnesota is 11-1 at home. They're 9-4 on the road, right? So with that being said, and then you look at it, the thing is, though, they have won their last 2 road games. They got a 3-game winning streak. What they did is they beat Miami 112-108 on Monday, and before that, they basically boat raced the Indiana Pacers at home 127-109, and then they beat Dallas. They boat raced Dallas on the road 119-101. So, they are a quality team. The thing is, Anthony Edwards. I mean, the last time we keep talking about, and you mentioned him a little bit, but we keep talking about how this team has the Twin Towers, right? But, Anthony Edwards is a guy who, some people may say, look, dude, he's an MVP candidate as well. I mean, he's really been balling. And, I'm here to say, without having Nick Batum, they might be in trouble. I don't think they have anybody out there that can stop them.
Yeah. They can't. I mean, he's so big and so strong, so athletic. He's a matchup problem for him. I mean, who do you put on him? Do you try to wrap? You give Kelly Oubre a lot of minutes and say wrap yourself around him, or Covington, he's not necessarily a go for the night either. So yeah, and he's gonna come to play. He shows up every night. I think he had 34 against Miami. He stuffed the box score against Miami, and he's a competitor. And he's gonna want to come in here and and also let's not forget he's gonna be thinking MVP as well, and he knows he's going against the front runner. This could be the first game you see on SportsCenter tonight.
You think so? You I mean, you're talking about as far as Anthony Edwards going up against Embiid.
Yep.
Yeah, and I also think this is going to be a big and again, is Embiid better than the 2 bigs they have? Yeah, but this is going to be a big test to see how these 2 guys go up against him. You know what I mean, and see what they do against him. So that's going to be interesting. Here's the thing. Like Anthony Edwards, I will say this about him. He played against the Sixers for 7 games, career games. he's averaging 23.4 points, right? And he's basically shooting, his usage rate is 29%. So, I mean, which is pretty good. But, like, he's doing the thing. Like, I think in the last game they played, he had like 31 points. He had 6 assists, and he shot 55.6% on threes against the Sixers. So, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, he played 36 minutes in that game, right? And he shot 55.6% on threes against them. So, he's doing really good. I mean, and he averages, let's see, for his, like I said, he's averaging around 40% on threes against the Sixers. So, like they're going to have their hands full against Anthony Edwards tonight. So it's going to be interesting. Now we got to see if Tobias got to step up. He got to step up. But hey, I just want to thank y'all. We want to thank y'all for listening to this podcast. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts at. It's free and available wherever you get it at, or you can go to our YouTube channel. But we want to thank y'all for listening and have a blessed day. Peace.
Have a good one, y'all.